But this last go-around, I had so much that I used so much that it didn't even get me high anymore, so I could still eat. You know, I could smoke a bunch of meth, and I could then go eat, you know. I could smoke a bunch of meth and go to sleep. It didn't affect me. I got higher every day when I was having my quad mocha. Once a day, I'd go down to, you know, Dutch Brothers, get my quad mocha. I'd be like, cool, I'm going to get high, you know, because the meth just didn't even work for me anymore. It just made me weird, not high.
If you could recommend one major prevention for preventing other people from getting addicted, what would it be?
Well, you know, there's a good poster out there, The Faces of Meth. You know, there's a lot of, you just go, you know, go to any shopping mall and you can pick out the meth freak there. I mean, especially in this area, meth is rampant, and it's, I mean, you can see, I could pick one out. I mean, I don't know if anybody hears on it right now. It doesn't look like it, but you know, you could tell. I mean, there's just, I don't know how I wasn't deterred, but you know, the prison thing. Here I am. It's my very first offense. I had a spotless record. You know, tell them that. So, you know, this guy, Rob, his first offense, he's getting 8 years. You know, maybe that would help. Maybe the fact that the penalties are so severe. Or even worse, just pick out some of the other guys. A lot of my friends are getting caught with, I don't know, an 8-ball or an ounce. You know, and what they're getting is a state case where they get 3 months enforced work camp. And it's just not enough of a shock to the system to them. It's like, that's doable. I can go do 3 months standing on my head. Or 6 months in Lane County. Or 30 days in CCC. And it's like, okay, I can still keep my car, I can still keep my family, I can get out, and I'll be okay. They get out, and the punishment wasn't that bad. You know, I got 15 to life slapped at me. You know, boom, 15 to life. You versus, what, 6, how many people in the United States? I mean,
300 million.
300 million people versus you and your attorney. That's freaky. That straightened me out, you know? And if it would have stayed a state case and I would have got out of it, I'd probably be right back out there. So, you know, that's even worse. You know, just look, it's hard to talk sense into people, and especially with our tradition of attraction, not promotion. It's hard to tell people, you know, about the program because, I mean, it'll save your life, but then again, you're not supposed to promote it. You know, so I don't know. You know, I'm still new at this. I hope you think of something, though.
I have a suggestion, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Without that 15 to life, do you think there could have been anything else that you could have come across that would have gotten you clean and sober?
Well, the pain I've put my family through in this entire thing. You know, the reason I've been so successful in staying clean, getting clean and staying clean, because I'm lucky. You know, my family didn't even know I was involved in crime or drugs. You know, I had a story for everything on how I lived and how I paid for my place and everything and how I paid for my car. And I'd lied my way into, you know, my parents thinking I was a good all-American boy and hurting them. You know, that's the hardest part of this whole thing was when I got out of jail that night, I was like, oh, I got to tell my family. And that was very, very hard. And so that's another reason I'll never go back to this is because, you know, putting my family through this pain has just been, you know, terrible. My mom cries about it, you know, and a lot of my friends that get out of jail, they get in trouble, they get out of jail. They go back to a place where, you know, their mom's got a rig of dope waiting for them when they get out. Here you go. Good job. You did your time. Here you go. You've been clean for 30 days. Or their uncle's cooking up a batch in the back. Or their sister's turning a trick in the garage. I mean, that's what happens with this drug. People do terrible, dirty things. And a guy that gets out of jail that doesn't have the wonderful supportive family that I have, you know, gets out and they walk right back into it. They don't got nowhere else to go. So one thing that I think helps majorly is taking the leap of faith, getting into a 12-step program, and recognizing that you're going to have a couple thousand people that are in this program you can pick and choose new friends from. I had to quit hanging out with all my friends when I got busted. You know, my lawyer, my PO, everybody was like, Rob, you can't hang out with criminals and drug addicts anymore. You can't go to the bar no more. You can't, if you want to survive, you know, if you don't want to fall into this and get that stiff sentence, you got to just hang out with people that are in the program, which is the volunteer program, the 12-step program. There's a couple of them here in town that are really good.
Well, I was going to ask you about your friends. So when you took the step and just started dealing and everything, did you lose like a lot of your friends that kind of had grown out of, you know, the rebellious?
Yeah, but it was more like my choice. What's cool now is that now I'm clean. You know, it got to the point where when I was on meth, you know, the only time I'd leave the house was to go do a deal or to, you know, Walmart was open 24 hours. That's where I'd do my shopping, or I'd shop at the Dairy Mart, you know, pay twice as much just because I didn't want to go deal with normal people at Albertsons or Safeway or at church or at, you know, any of the places where normal people go. You know, I never would have came out here. All you people were normal. I'd have been, whoa, you know, I was high, you know, and so now that I'm getting back to a normal life, I'm going to church, I'm going to, you know, Safeway to get my groceries, or Winco, or normal places. You know, I'll come out here and see a guy I know from high school, or just normal places. I'm running into all these normal people that I knew from high school and my life before my addiction really kicked off. And they're totally accepting of me. They're like, Rob, where you been? You know, and we hug, and it's like, oh, I missed you too. And so it was all my choice. You know, I didn't want to hang out with people that weren't getting high, because I was getting high.
And so your friends that were drug addicts, you're not hanging out with them anymore?
No, unfortunately, I'm not.
And when you got in trouble, when you went to jail, do you feel like you lost like a lot of those friends because they didn't want you to bust them? Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing was, it's just, and the more that now I believe it too, because I think it's what saved my life, is because I've seen a lot of people go back out that are in the program, you know, of, I can't say the names of them because we're on TV, but of these programs that are available. I've seen a lot of my friends go back out because they did hang out with people that, you know, it was like everybody's, I don't know how many times I've heard, well, but that's my homie, or that's my friend, that's my brother. You know, we've been through this together and that together, and you don't understand, we're family. It doesn't matter. If that person's still using, you're probably going to use if you hang out with them. And that's the reality of it, you know. So I just, you know, I got a sponsor right when I got in the program, and they told me, Rob, you can't hang out with none of those people. See, one of the things you do when you get clean is you want to skip the first through the 11th steps and hit right to the 12th step. Because you're clean now. You got a week or two or a month under your belt. You're like, wow, this feels pretty good. I'm clean. I'm going to go tell all my drug addict buddies. And my sponsor was like, no, you can't do that. You go over to their house, the cops bust in the door, SWAT team comes again, and you're just, oh, I'm just here to, you know, help them get into the program. Doesn't work that way, you know. Then again, we're back to that 15 to life thing. I'm arrested immediately. Oh, you're Rob Long. You got da-da-da-da-da. So, or also just for, even if it didn't come to that, just me being around it, you know. I did go around it a couple times when I first got done, trying to tell my friends, you know. I'd go over to their house, knock on the door, they're like, Rob, you know, what's up? And I'm like, dude, man, you don't need that stuff. You need to come with me to a meeting, you know. And they're like, well, I don't know, you know. And I'm like, well, all right. Just thought I'd check, man. Give me a call if you ever want. I told my sponsor about it later. He's like, dude, you can never do that, you know. Because really, I got to look out for myself at this point in terms of not using drugs. There's other things, you know, like, well, like I said, you know, there's other things I'm not willing. It's not all about me in terms of other things, you know. Like I said, I'm going to prison for 8 years of my first offense because I don't want to put myself in danger or my family in danger. So there's certain things I haven't been willing to do that maybe my sponsor wanted me to do, you know, that or for whatever reason that, you know, it's like, whoa, you know, I can't. It's not about, anyways, there's just certain things I couldn't do because, you know, it's a dangerous world out there, especially in the drug world.
How many felonies did you get total?
I was charged with 2 things. What's cool is they say that recovery doesn't have any bearing on what the United States District Attorney will do for you, but yet I was charged with, they caught me with 504 grams, I believe, and they were willing, maybe it's just because I have an excellent lawyer, or maybe it's because of all the recovery work I did. For whatever reason, the DA was, you know, cool, and he was willing to drop that down to 499 grams. So I got charged with possession of 50 grams. So there's a 50-gram mark, and then it's 50 to 499, and then it's 500 to, I don't know what's above that because I didn't look into that because I wasn't involved with that. Mine was in between the 500 and 1,000. The DA was willing to drop it down to 499 grams. And I do believe that's partially because of all the work I did in recovery, and partially just because I have an excellent lawyer, John Callego. Sorry.
All right.
Put a plug for John.